Ryan Richardson's scalpel trembled as he prepared to save the alien plant girl's life. The critically wounded Eliani princess, Tyro, lay before him, her flower-like core torn and wilting. This wasn't what he'd expected when he signed up for an expedition to find new habitable worlds. The uncharted jungle planet pulsed with alien life around them. Distant screeches of predatory creatures echoed through the dense foliage, reminding Ryan of the attack that had nearly claimed Tyro's life. The Eliani were a sentient plant-based species, humanoid in form, but with vibrant petals and leaves instead of hair and skin. Tyro's damaged flower was more than just an injury. It threatened her very existence. As Ryan worked, Tyro's eyes fluttered open. She spoke, her voice a soft rustle like leaves in the wind. "Human, why do you help me?" Ryan didn't look up from his work. "Because you need it. I'm a scientist, but I'm trained in xenobiology. I can't stand by and watch a sentient being die." Tyro's petals quivered. "I am Tyro, last of the Eliani royal bloodline. Our people face extinction at the hands of the Vespidians, an insectoid race that seeks to harvest our bioenergy." Ryan's hands stilled for a moment as he processed this information. The expedition's mission to find new habitable worlds suddenly seemed insignificant compared to the conflict he'd stumbled into. In the distance, he heard Commander Marcus Steele's voice, growing louder as he approached their makeshift medical tent. "Richardson, what's the status on the alien?" Ryan called back. "She's stabilizing, sir, but there's more to this situation than we realized." Steele ducked into the tent, his weathered face creasing with concern as he took in the scene. "Explain." As Ryan recounted Tyro's words, Steele's expression hardened. "This complicates things. We can't get involved in an alien war. Our mission is clear: survey, assess, report back." Ryan felt a surge of frustration. "Sir, we can't just ignore this. The Alani could be powerful allies. And morally—" Steele cut him off. "Morality doesn't factor into interstellar diplomacy, Richardson. We don't know enough about this conflict to pick sides." As the two men argued, Tyro's voice interrupted them. "If you aid us, we can offer knowledge that could transform your colonization efforts. Our people can terraform barren planets with unprecedented speed." Both humans turned to stare at her. Ryan's mind raced with the implications. Earth's overpopulation crisis could be solved. But Tyro's next words dampened his excitement. "However, sharing this knowledge violates our deepest cultural taboos. My people may see it as a betrayal." Before anyone could respond, alarms blared throughout the camp. Steele's comm unit crackled to life. "Commander, we're under attack. Insectoid creatures. They must be the Vespidians." Ryan locked eyes with Tyro, seeing fear and determination in her alien features. He made a decision. "Sir, we have to help them. The Alani could be the key to humanity's future." Steele hesitated, then nodded grimly. "Protect the alien princess. I'll organize our defenses." As Steele rushed out, Ryan turned back to Tyro. Their eyes met, and he felt a connection forming, transcending their biological differences. He had saved her life, and now they faced a new challenge together. The sounds of battle grew closer. Ryan grabbed his medical kit and helped Tyro to her feet. "Can you move? We need to get you to safety." Tyro's petals unfurled, her strength returning. "I can fight, human. My people's future depends on it." Ryan nodded, surprised by her resilience. As they prepared to face the Vespidian attack, he realized that his life, and potentially the future of humanity, had changed forever in this alien jungle. The Vespidian attack struck with brutal efficiency. Insectoid creatures swarmed over the camp's perimeter, their chitinous exoskeletons gleaming in the alien sunlight. Ryan's heart raced as he helped Tyro to her feet, her flower-like core still fragile from the recent surgery. "We need to move now," Ryan shouted over the chaos. He grabbed his medical kit and guided Tyro towards the edge of the camp, where a small group of scientists huddled, fear etched on their faces. Commander Steele's voice crackled over the comms. "Richardson, get the alien princess and our key personnel to the cave system we mapped last week. It's our best shot at keeping her safe." "Understood, sir," Ryan replied, ushering the group towards the dense jungle. He cast a final glance back at the camp, where Steele and the remaining human forces had formed a defensive line against the Vespidian onslaught. The jungle seemed to come alive around them as they fled, the distant sounds of battle mixing with the cacophony of alien wildlife. Ryan led the way, machete in hand, clearing a path through the thick vegetation. Tyro moved with surprising grace despite her injuries, her leafy skin blending seamlessly with the surrounding foliage. After what felt like hours of grueling travel, they reached the mouth of the cave system. Ryan ushered everyone inside, his eyes scanning the jungle for any sign of pursuit. The caves stretched deep into the planet's crust, their walls covered in a tapestry of bioluminescent fungi that bathed everything in an eerie blue-green glow. "Dr. Kovacs," Ryan called out to the expedition's xenobiologist, "help me get Tyro settled. We need to check her condition after that trek." Elena Kovacs nodded, her dark hair matted with sweat and alien plant matter. As they worked to make Tyro comfortable, Ryan couldn't help but notice the way Elena's gaze lingered on him, a mixture of concern and something else in her eyes. Tyro's voice, soft as rustling leaves, broke the tense silence. "Your kindness continues to surprise me, human. Few would risk so much for an alien species." Ryan smiled as he checked her vital signs. "It's not just kindness, Tyro. Your people could be invaluable allies to humanity, and I've come to care about what happens to you." Elena cleared her throat, a hint of irritation in her voice. "We should focus on stabilizing her condition. These caves might interfere with Vespidian scanners, but we don't know how long we'll be safe here." As they worked, Tyro began to share more about her people. "The Eliani have lived in harmony with our world for millennia," she explained, her petals quivering with each word. "Our ability to rapidly terraform barren planets comes from this deep connection to nature." Ryan listened, fascinated, as Tyro described the intricacies of Eliani biology. When she mentioned their reproductive process, similar to pollination, a light bulb went off in his mind. "Elena," he said, excitement creeping into his voice, "I think I know how we might be able to fully heal Tyro's flower." The xenobiologist leaned in, her earlier irritation forgotten in the face of scientific discovery. Ryan outlined his theory, pointing out the unique properties of the cave fungi and how they might be used in conjunction with their medical technology. Elena's eyes widened. "It's risky, but it could work. We'd need to create a sort of empathic bridge between Ryan and Tyro to guide the regeneration process." Tyro's leaves rustled in what Ryan had come to recognize as her version of a nod. "Such a connection is not unheard of among my people, though never before with an alien species." As they prepared for the procedure, tension grew within the small group. The other scientists watched with a mixture of fascination and apprehension, while Elena's gaze flicked between Ryan and Tyro with increasing frequency. Ryan took a deep breath, steeling himself for what was to come. He placed his hands gently on either side of Tyro's damaged flower, feeling the alien warmth of her life force pulsing beneath his fingers. "Are you ready?" he asked softly. Tyro's eyes, so alien yet filled with trust, met his. "I am ready, Ryan Richardson. May our spirits intertwine and bring forth new life." As Ryan closed his eyes and opened his mind to the empathic link, the cave around them seemed to fade away. He felt himself falling into a sea of alien sensations, the rush of sap through veins, the unfurling of leaves in sunlight, the deep primal connection to the very soil of the planet. Through it all, he sensed Tyro's presence, a beacon guiding him through the storm of new experiences. Together, they focused on her damaged core, visualizing the healing process as the cave fungi and human medical technology worked in tandem to regenerate her flower. Time lost all meaning as Ryan sank deeper into the empathic link. He was vaguely aware of Elena's voice, calling out readings and adjusting equipment, but it seemed to come from a great distance. Suddenly, a surge of energy coursed through the connection. Ryan gasped, his eyes flying open as he felt a wave of alien emotions crash over him. Joy, pain, fear, and something akin to love, all mixed together in a dizzying whirlwind. As the surge subsided, Ryan found himself slumping forward, utterly drained. Elena caught him, her touch anchoring him back to reality. "Ryan, are you all right?" Elena's voice was thick with concern and another emotion he couldn't quite place. He nodded weakly, his gaze drawn to Tyro. The Alani princess sat up straighter, her petals unfurling with renewed vigor. Her flower, once torn and wilting, now bloomed with vibrant colors that seemed to pulse with life. It worked, Ryan breathed, a smile spreading across his face despite his exhaustion. Before anyone could celebrate, the cave trembled with the distant sound of an explosion. The temporary peace of their hideout shattered as reality came crashing back. "The Vespidians must be getting closer," one of the scientists said, fear evident in his voice. Ryan struggled to his feet, supported by Elena. "We need to contact Commander Steele, find out what's happening out there." As if in answer to his words, Steele's voice crackled over their comm unit, strained but determined. "Richardson, do you copy? We've made contact with Eliani resistance fighters. They're offering an alliance against the Vespidians. How's the princess?" Ryan looked at Tyro, seeing new strength in her alien features. "She's recovered, sir. We're ready to move if needed." "Good," Steele replied, "because this fight is just the beginning. The Eliani general says Tyro is key to their resistance. We're going to need every advantage we can get if we're going to survive this and forge a lasting alliance." As the gravity of the situation settled over the group, Ryan met Tyro's gaze. The connection between them hummed with unspoken understanding. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, human and Eliani united against a common threat. The cave trembled again, reminding them of the precarious nature of their sanctuary. Ryan knew that soon they would have to venture back into the dangerous jungle, facing whatever the Vespidians and this alien world had in store for them. But for now, in this moment of hard-won victory, he allowed himself a brief smile, ready to face whatever came next. Ryan took a deep breath, steeling himself for what was to come. He placed his hands gently on either side of Tyro's damaged flower, feeling the alien warmth of her life force pulsing beneath his fingers. "Are you ready?" he asked softly. Tyro's eyes, so alien yet filled with trust, met his. "I am ready, Ryan Richardson. May our spirits intertwine and bring forth new life." As Ryan closed his eyes and opened his mind to the empathic link, the cave around them seemed to fade away. He felt himself falling into a sea of alien sensations, the rush of sap through veins, the unfurling of leaves in sunlight, the deep primal connection to the very soil of the planet. Through it all, he sensed Tyro's presence, a beacon guiding him through the storm of new experiences. Together they focused on her damaged core, visualizing the healing process as the cave fungi and human medical technology worked in tandem to regenerate her flower. Ryan's consciousness expanded, engulfed by the vastness of Tyro's world. He saw sprawling forests of sentient plants, felt the ebb and flow of nutrient-rich tides in vast underground root networks. The beauty and complexity of Eliani culture unfolded before him, their harmonious existence with nature, their deep spiritual connection to their homeworld. As the procedure continued, Dr. Elena Kovacs monitored Ryan's vital signs with growing concern. His heart rate spiked dangerously, sweat beading on his forehead as his body struggled to cope with the alien connection. "Ryan, your vitals are off the charts," Elena called out, her voice tight with worry. "We might need to abort the procedure." But Ryan was too deep in the empathic link to hear her. His mind intertwined further with Tyro's, their thoughts and memories bleeding together. He saw glimpses of her childhood, felt the weight of her royal responsibilities, and understood the profound loss her people had suffered at the hands of the Vespidians. The cave trembled, dust and small rocks falling from the ceiling. Elena's head snapped up, fear flashing across her face. "The Vespidians are getting closer," she muttered, glancing at the cave entrance. Outside, Commander Marcus Steele and General Zephyr of the Eliani Resistance stood side by side, overseeing the joint human-Eliani defensive line. Human soldiers with advanced weaponry stood shoulder to shoulder with Eliani warriors wielding bioweapons that pulsed with otherworldly energy. "They're coming in waves," Steele growled, peering through binoculars at the approaching Vespidian forces. Each attack more relentless than the last. General Zephyr, her leafy skin rippling with tension, nodded. "Our biobarriers won't hold forever. We need something to turn the tide." As if in answer to her words, Captain Darius Black sprinted up to the command post, his Special Forces team close behind. "Commander General," he said, snapping a quick salute, "we found something you need to see." Black produced a data pad, displaying detailed scans of Vespidian armor. "There's a weak point here, just below the thorax. Our weapons can penetrate it if we concentrate fire." Steele's eyes widened. "This could change everything. Good work, Captain." As they began to implement the new strategy, the situation in the cave grew dire. Ryan's body convulsed, the empathic link threatening to overwhelm his human physiology. Elena watched in horror as his neural patterns began to mirror Tyro's alien brainwaves. "I can't let this continue," Elena whispered, tears in her eyes. She reached for a neural inhibitor, knowing that using it could jeopardize the healing process, but seeing no other choice to save Ryan's life. With a trembling hand, she pressed the device to Ryan's temple and activated it. The effect was immediate and violent. Ryan's eyes flew open, a scream tearing from his throat as the empathic link shattered. Tyro's flower spasmed, partially healed but still fragile. The Eliani princess gasped, her consciousness abruptly thrust back into her own body. What happened?" Ryan mumbled, his vision swimming as he tried to focus on Elena's face. "I had to break the connection," Elena explained, her voice thick with emotion. "You were losing yourself, Ryan. I couldn't let that happen." As Ryan's senses slowly returned, he became aware of lingering fragments of Tyro's memories and emotions in his mind. He turned to look at the Eliani princess, seeing recognition in her alien eyes. They had formed a bond that transcended species, one that would forever change their relationship. Before they could fully process what had occurred, the cave entrance exploded in a shower of rock and debris. Captain Black burst in, his uniform singed and torn. "We've pushed them back, but we need to move now," he barked. "The diplomatic envoy from Earth has arrived, and Commander Steele wants everyone at the command center immediately." Ryan struggled to his feet, supported by Elena. He glanced at Tyro, seeing her flower still damaged but showing signs of regeneration. "Can you move?" he asked. Tyro nodded, her movement slow but determined. "I am well enough to travel, but I will require further care to fully heal." As they made their way out of the cave and into the aftermath of battle, Ryan marveled at the scene before him. Human and Eliani forces worked side by side, tending to wounded and reinforcing defenses. In the distance, a sleek, diplomatic shuttle touched down, its hull gleaming in the alien sunlight. Commander Steele approached, his face grim. "Richardson, I need you and the princess with me. Ambassador Chen wants to begin negotiations immediately, and your unique connection could be crucial." Ryan nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. As they walked towards the command center, he caught Elena's eye. The doctor's face was a mix of relief, concern, and something deeper, an emotion Ryan couldn't quite name, but felt echoed in his own heart. The future of human-Eliani relations hung in the balance, with the threat of the Vespidians still looming. Ryan knew that the bond he now shared with Tyro would play a pivotal role in shaping that future. As they entered the command center, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, Ryan couldn't help but wonder how this unexpected connection would change not just their two species, but his own path in life. Ryan stood at the entrance of the command center, taking in the flurry of activity. Ambassador Sarah Chen had arrived with her diplomatic team, and negotiations with General Zephyr and the Eliani resistance leaders were already underway. The air was thick with tension and urgency. As Ryan helped Tyro to a seat, he caught snippets of the ongoing discussion. Ambassador Chen's voice cut through the noise, clear and authoritative. "General Zephyr, your people's ability to terraform barren planets is remarkable. Earth faces significant challenges due to overpopulation. Perhaps there's an opportunity for mutual benefit here." General Zephyr's leaves rustled thoughtfully. "Our terraforming techniques are sacred to us, Ambassador. But given our current circumstances, we may be open to knowledge exchange." Ryan's attention was pulled away as Dr. Elena Kovacs approached, her face etched with concern. "Ryan, we need to complete Tyro's healing process. Are you up for another session?" He nodded, acutely aware of the lingering connection he shared with the Eliani princess. As they made their way to the medical bay, Ryan could sense Tyro's growing strength, her drive to heal and contribute to their alliance. In the medical bay, Ryan placed his hands on Tyro's partially regenerated flower. The empathic link flared to life, less overwhelming than before but still intense. Through their connection, Ryan guided Elena in applying the cave fungi extract, his newfound understanding of Eliani biology proving invaluable. "Her cellular regeneration rate is increasing," Elena muttered, studying the readings. "Ryan, your input is making a significant difference." As they worked, Ryan couldn't help but notice the tension in Elena's voice, the way her eyes darted between him and Tyro. The shared emotions flowing through the empathic link were complicating things, and Ryan felt a pang of guilt. Outside the medical bay, Commander Marcus Steele and Captain Darius Black pored over holographic maps, integrating human technology with Eliani bioweapons to create a formidable defense system. "If we position the pulse cannons here," Black pointed, "and support them with Eliani root networks, we can create a nearly impenetrable perimeter." Steele nodded, but his reply was cut short by an urgent alert. A junior officer rushed in, face pale. "Commander, long-range scans have detected a massive Vespidian fleet approaching the planet." The command center erupted into controlled chaos. Steele's voice boomed over the commotion. "We need to accelerate our preparations. Chen, how are those negotiations coming?" Ambassador Chen looked up from her discussion with the Eliani leaders. "We're making progress, but this news changes things. We need to finalize our alliance now." As the gravity of the situation settled over the room, a new face stepped forward. Dr. Marcus Reeves, a human xenobiologist who had arrived with the diplomatic envoy, cleared his throat. "Commander, Ambassador, I believe I may have something that could help," Reeves said, his eyes bright with excitement. "The cave fungi used in Princess Tyro's healing process, I've been studying its properties. Combined with Eliani biology, we might be able to create organic computing systems far more advanced than anything we or the Vespidians possess." A murmur of interest rippled through the room. Steele raised an eyebrow. "How quickly could you develop this, Doctor?" Before Reeves could answer, the medical bay doors slid open. Tyro emerged, her flower now almost fully regenerated, with Ryan and Elena at her side. The room fell silent as the Eliani princess made her way to the center of the command center. "I wish to join these negotiations," Tyro announced, her voice strong and clear. "My experiences with Ryan and the humans have given me unique insights. I believe I can help bridge our two species." Ambassador Chen nodded, gesturing for Tyro to join them. As the negotiations resumed with renewed vigor, Ryan found himself torn between staying with Tyro and assisting Dr. Reeves with his research. The decision was made for him when Captain Black approached, his face grim. "Richardson, we need to talk. We've got a prototype EMP generator that could disable Vespidian tech over a large area. But using it means putting a team in a vulnerable position. I'm leading the mission, and I could use someone with your skill set." As Ryan considered the request, a commotion near the diplomatic table caught everyone's attention. Tyro's voice rang out, clear and determined. "We have the power to transform this planet, to make it inhospitable to the Vespidians," she declared. "My people's terraforming abilities, combined with human technology, could reshape the environment itself." The room erupted into debate. Dr. Kovacs stepped forward, her face etched with concern. "Princess Tyro, while your proposal is bold, we must consider the ethical implications. Large-scale environmental manipulation could have unforeseen consequences." As the argument intensified, the command center's main screen flashed red. A young officer's voice cut through the noise. "Vespidian fleet has entered orbit. They're launching the first wave of their invasion force." Commander Steele's voice boomed over the chaos. "Everyone to your stations. This is not a drill. Captain Black, get your team ready for the EMP mission. Ambassador Chen, we need that alliance agreement now." In the midst of the frenzy, Ryan locked eyes with Tyro. A silent understanding passed between them. Without a word, they both knew what needed to be done. Ryan stepped forward, his voice cutting through the noise. "I'll go with Tyro to the planet's core. We'll initiate the terraforming process from there." The room fell silent. Dr. Kovacs stared at Ryan, hurt and confusion evident in her eyes. but there was no time for explanations or goodbyes. As alarms blared and personnel rushed to their positions, Ryan and Tyro prepared for their perilous journey to the planet's core. Captain Black's team geared up for their mission to deploy the EMP device. Commander Steele coordinated the main defense force, his voice steady as he issued orders. Ambassador Chen's pen hovered over the alliance agreement, the fate of two species hanging in the balance. As she prepared to sign, the first Vespidian ships breached the atmosphere, their ominous forms casting shadows over the landscape. The newly formed Human-Eliani alliance faced its first true test. As Ryan and Tyro set out on their mission, the weight of their responsibility pressed down upon them. The future of both their peoples now rested in their hands. Ryan and Tyro plunged into the depths of the planet, leaving behind the chaos of the surface. The narrow tunnels twisted and turned, their bioluminescent walls pulsing with an eerie light. Tyro's tendrils brushed against the living rock, sensing vibrations and guiding them through the labyrinth. "This way," Tyro communicated silently through their empathic link. Ryan nodded, marveling at how natural their wordless exchanges had become. They squeezed through a tight crevice, emerging into a vast cavern. Towering stalactites hung from the ceiling like ancient teeth, while crystalline formations glittered in the dim light. Ryan's breath caught in his throat as he beheld the heart of Gaia. The massive crystal pulsed with an inner light, its facets reflecting myriad colors. Intricate patterns swirled within its depths, hinting at the immense power contained within. "It's incredible," Ryan whispered, his voice filled with awe. Tyro's leaves rustled in agreement. "The heart of Gaia is the source of our terraforming abilities. But to activate it now, we must do something never before attempted." As they approached the crystal, Ryan felt a tingling sensation spreading through his body. The empathic link with Tyro intensified, their consciousnesses beginning to merge. Meanwhile, on the planet's surface, Captain Darius Black led his team through a gauntlet of Vespidian defenses. They crouched behind a makeshift barricade, pulse rifles at the ready. "New contact!" shouted Corporal Zhang, her eyes wide. "It's different." A massive Vespidian warrior lumbered into view, its carapace gleaming with metallic implants. Standing nearly 3 meters tall, it dwarfed its drone counterparts. "Adaptive tactics," Black ordered, his voice steady despite the dire situation. "Rodriguez, Jensen, flank left. Zhang, with me. We'll draw its fire." The team moved with practiced precision, years of training coming to bear. Black and Zhang burst from cover, unleashing a barrage of weapons fire. The elite Vespidian guard stumbled under the assault, but its armor held. Rodriguez and Jensen used the distraction to maneuver behind the creature. Rodriguez launched a plasma grenade, the explosion momentarily obscuring their vision. When the smoke cleared, the Vespidian lay motionless. "Good work, team," Black said, allowing himself a small smile. "But we're not done yet. EMP device is just ahead. Move out." In the command center, Ambassador Sarah Chen found herself facing an unexpected obstacle. Elder Thorn, his bark-like skin etched with age, stood before her, his leaves quivering with almost unchecked anger. "This alliance is an abomination," Thorn declared, his voice resonating with the harmonic tones of the Eliani. "We cannot sacrifice our ways to these outsiders." Chen took a deep breath, centering herself. "Elder Thorn, I understand your concerns, but surely you see that our survival depends on cooperation." General Zephyr stepped forward, his imposing presence filling the room. "Elder, I've fought alongside these humans. They are honorable allies. We must embrace change to survive." As the debate raged on, Dr. Marcus Reeves burst into the room, his eyes wild with excitement. "Commander Steele, I've done it!" All eyes turned to the disheveled scientist as he placed a small, pulsating object on the central table. It looked like a cross between a computer chip and a living organism, tendrils of energy dancing across its surface. "An organic computing node," Reeves explained breathlessly. "It can interface with both our systems and Eliani biotechnology. The possibilities are endless." Steele's eyes narrowed as he examined the device. "How quickly can we integrate this into our defenses?" With Eliani assistance, we could have a rudimentary network operational within hours, Reeves replied. Do it, Steele ordered, and brief our Eliani allies on the technology. We'll need their full cooperation. As Reeves hurried off, trailed by a group of curious Eliani, the command center's main screen flashed red. Lieutenant Axel Donovan's face appeared, his flight helmet scorched and cracked. Commander, we're engaging the Vespidian fleet in orbit, Donovan reported, his voice strained. Our hybrid fighters are holding their own, but we're outnumbered. We need reinforcements. Steele's fist tight. Understood, Lieutenant. Hold the line as long as you can. We'll get you support as soon as possible. The screen switched to an external view, showing Donovan's squadron weaving through a storm of Vespidian fire. The human Eliani hybrid craft moved with impossible agility, their bioweapons leaving trails of destructive energy in their wake. In the medical bay, Dr. Elena Kovacs worked tirelessly, her hands moving with practiced efficiency as she treated a wounded Eliani. The alien's sap-like blood coated her gloves, but she remained focused. Increase the dosage of fungal extract, she instructed an Eliani healer. Their cellular regeneration rate is faster than ours. As the immediate crisis passed, Elena allowed herself a moment of reflection. Her thoughts drifted to Ryan, somewhere deep beneath the surface with Tyro. The pang of jealousy surprised her, and she pushed it aside, burying herself once more in her work. Deep underground, Ryan and Tyro stood before the heart of Gaia. The crystal's pulsing had intensified, responding to their presence. We must join with it, Tyro explained, her mental voice tinged with apprehension. Our combined energies will awaken its power. Ryan nodded, steeling himself. Whatever it takes. They reached out, their hands and tendrils intertwining as they touched the crystal's surface. A surge of energy coursed through them, and Ryan gasped as his consciousness expanded. He saw the planet as a living entity, felt the ebb and flow of its energies. Tyro's presence enveloped him, their minds merging more completely than ever before. Together, they began to reshape the world. On the surface, Captain Black's team finally reached the EMP deployment site. As they began to set up the device, a piercing screech filled the air. Incoming, Black shouted, diving for cover. A massive Vespidian queen descended upon them, her wings creating a hurricane of debris. Her compound eyes glowed with malevolent intelligence as she unleashed a psionic assault. Black felt his mind being invaded, alien thoughts threatening to overwhelm him. He gritted his teeth, fighting against the intrusion. Activate the device, he managed to growl. Corporal Zhang crawled towards the EMP, her movements sluggish under the Queen's mental onslaught. Her fingers fumbled with the controls as the massive Vespidian loomed ever closer. In orbit, Lieutenant Donovan barrel-rolled his fighter, narrowly avoiding a barrage of Vespidian plasma fire. Echo Squadron, form up on me, he ordered. We'll make another pass at their command ship. As the human Eliani hybrid fighters regrouped, a massive energy signature appeared on their scanners. Donovan's blood ran cold as he realized what it was. Command, this is Donovan, he reported, his voice tight. The Vespidians are positioning a planet-killer weapon. We need to take it out now, or everything we've fought for is lost. In the command center, Elder Thorne approached Ambassador Chen, his earlier hostility replaced by steadfast perseverance. Ambassador, there is something you must know, he said, his voice low. We have a weapon, one capable of repelling the invaders, but its use comes at a terrible cost. Chen's eyes widened as Thorne explained the nature of the weapon and its devastating ecological impact. She turned to Commander Steele, her face pale. Commander, we have a decision to make, she said, one that could change the fate of this planet forever. As multiple crises converged, the future hung in the balance. In the depths of the planet, Ryan and Tyro struggled to control the awesome power of the heart of Gaia. Captain Black's team faced off against the Vespidian Queen, their minds under siege as they raced to activate the EMP device. In orbit, Lieutenant Donovan and his squadron stood as the last line of defense against the planet-killer weapon. And in the command center, leaders of two species grappled with an impossible choice, knowing that their decision would shape the destiny of both their peoples for generations to come. The heart of Gaia pulsed with increasing intensity as Ryan and Tyro joined their minds and bodies with the ancient crystal. Energy coursed through them, their shared consciousness expanding to encompass the entire planet. Ryan gasped as he felt the world come alive around him, every rock and tree a living, breathing entity connected to the whole. "It's working," Tyro communicated silently. "We must push further." Ryan nodded, gritting his teeth as he poured more of himself into the link. The cavern shook, stalactites crashing down around them as the planet's core stirred to life. Through their shared vision, they saw the effects rippling outward, transforming the world above. On the surface, Captain Black's team huddled behind cover as the Vespidian Queen loomed over them. Suddenly, the air shimmered, growing thick and humid. The Queen's movement slowed, her wings struggling against the changing atmosphere. "Now's our chance!" Black shouted, leaping from cover. "Zhang, the EMP!" Corporal Zhang scrambled towards the device, fighting against the Queen's weakening psionic assault. Her fingers flew over the controls, initializing the sequence. The Queen screeched, lunging forward with her last reserves of strength. Black raised his rifle, unleashing a barrage of fire that forced the massive insectoid back. "Activate it now!" Zhang slammed her hand down on the final switch. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a wave of invisible energy burst forth, racing across the landscape. The Queen's eyes dimmed, her cybernetic implants sputtering and failing. Around them, Vespidian dropships fell from the sky, crashing into the rapidly changing terrain. In orbit, Lieutenant Donovan's fighter spun through a sea of debris, narrowly avoiding a collision with a disabled Vespidian cruiser. "Echo Squadron, form up!" he ordered, his voice steady despite the chaos. "Their systems are down. Let's finish this." The hybrid fighters regrouped, their bio-enhanced reflexes allowing them to navigate the treacherous field of derelict ships. They dove towards the massive Vespidian command vessel, its lights flickering as it struggled to maintain power. "All units, fire at will," Donovan commanded. A storm of energy beams lanced out, tearing through the command ship's weakened defenses. Explosions blossomed along its hull as the mighty vessel began to break apart. In the command center, Ambassador Chen watched the battle unfold on the main screen, her heart racing. Elder Thorne approached, his earlier hostility replaced by a look of grudging respect. "It seems," Thorne said, his harmonic voice subdued, "that I may have been hasty in my judgment of your people, Ambassador." Chen turned to him, a small smile playing at her lips. "There's still much work to be done, Elder, but together, I believe we can forge a future for both our species." General Zephyr stepped forward, his leaves rustling with anticipation. "Then let us make it official, the treaty, Ambassador." Chen nodded, retrieving a datapad from her pocket. Her fingers flew across its surface, making final adjustments to the document that would change the course of history for both humans and Eliani. With a deep breath, she pressed her thumb to the screen, her biometric signature sealing the agreement. "It is done," she said, passing the pad to Zephyr and Thorne. They too added their signatures, the pad glowing with a soft blue light as it registered the historic moment. Commander Steele's voice cut through the moment of reflection. "We're not out of this yet, people. Dr. Reeves, what's the status of those organic computing nodes?" Reeves looked up from his workstation, his eyes wild with excitement. "Online and fully operational, Commander. We're seeing a 300% increase in processing power and communication speed across all systems." Steele nodded, his face grim. "Good. We're going to need every advantage we can get. Lieutenant Donovan, report." Donovan's voice crackled over the comms, static interfering with the transmission. "Commander, we've taken out their command ship, but we've got a new problem. The Vespidian planet killer is powering down, but it's falling out of orbit. Impact trajectory puts it right in the middle of our main settlement." The command center erupted into a flurry of activity. Steele's mind raced, considering and discarding options in rapid succession. "Donovan, can you intercept?" "Negative, sir," Donovan replied. "We don't have the firepower to break it up, and our tractor beams can't get a lock with all this interference." Steele's fists clenched. "Dr. Zhang," he called out, turning to the physicist who had been quietly working in the corner. "You mentioned a theoretical planetary defense system. Is there any way to make it a reality?" Dr. Arya Zhang looked up, her eyes wide. Possibly, but we'd need an enormous amount of energy, more than anything we have available. What about the heart of Gaia? Chen interjected. Could we channel its power through the organic computing nodes? Zhang's fingers flew across her datapad, running calculations. Yes, that could work, but it would require an unprecedented level of symbiosis between human and Eliani biology. The strain on the operators would be immense. Deep beneath the surface, Ryan and Tyro heard the frantic communications through their link with the planet. They shared a wordless glance, understanding passing between them. We have to do it, Ryan said aloud, his voice echoing in the vast cavern. Tyro's leaves rustled in agreement. It will change us, permanently. Are you prepared for that? Ryan nodded, a small smile playing at his lips. New worlds require new forms. Let's save this planet. They turned back to the heart of Gaia, its pulsing now a rhythmic thundering that shook the very foundations of the world. Together they pressed their hands against its crystalline surface, pushing their connection to its absolute limit. Energy surged through them, rewriting their very DNA as it flowed outward. Ryan felt his consciousness expand, merging with Tyro's in a way that transcended mere empathic links. He was aware of every electron flowing through the organic computing nodes, every signal racing between the planet's core and the improvised defense grid. On the surface, the sky erupted in a dazzling display of aurora, ribbons of energy dancing across the atmosphere. Dr. Zhang worked furiously at her console, directing the flow of power into a cohesive shield. It's working, she shouted, her voice filled with awe. The shield is forming. Lieutenant Donovan's voice crackled over the comms. We see it. It's incredible. The planet killer is approaching. All units, prepare for possible impact. The massive Vespidian weapon, now a dead hulk of metal and alien technology, hurtled towards the planet. It struck the shimmering energy barrier with a flash that outshone the sun itself. For a heart-stopping moment, it seemed as though it might break through. Then, with a sound like 1,000 thunderclaps, the weapon fractured. Pieces of it scattered across the upper atmosphere, burning up in a spectacular meteor shower that illuminated the transformed landscape below. In the command center, a cheer went up. Commander Steele allowed himself a small smile before turning back to the task at hand. Status report. I want damage assessments from all sectors immediately. As the immediate crisis passed, attention turned to the aftermath. The planet's ecosystem, dramatically altered by the terraforming process, began to stabilize. New forms of plant life sprouted from the ground, their biology a hybrid of Earth and Eliani genetics. Dr. Elena Kovacs worked tirelessly in the medical bay, adapting her treatments to the rapidly changing physiology of both human and Eliani patients. We're seeing unprecedented cellular regeneration, she reported to Commander Steele. It's as if the entire planet is in a state of accelerated evolution. Deep within the planet's core, the heart of Gaia's pulsing slowed to a steady rhythm. The cavern walls glowed with a soft, bioluminescent light as Ryan and Tyro finally separated from the crystal. They looked at each other, seeing the changes wrought by their symbiotic fusion. Ryan's skin had taken on a slightly woody texture, while Tyro's plant-like form now incorporated unmistakably human features. What happens now? Ryan asked, his voice carrying new harmonic undertones. Tyro's leaves rustled thoughtfully. We've opened a door to a new future, one neither of our species could have imagined alone. The real work is just beginning. Hand in hand, tendrils and fingers intertwined, they made their way back to the surface. The world that awaited them was forever changed, a testament to the power of cooperation in the face of overwhelming odds. As they emerged into the light of a new day, the transformed landscape stretched out before them, full of challenges and possibilities yet to be explored. Discovered. As Ryan and Tyro emerged from the cavern, they found themselves in a landscape transformed beyond recognition. The once barren plains now teemed with hybrid vegetation, a vibrant tapestry of Earth and Eliani flora intertwined in impossible combinations. Commander Steele's voice crackled over their communicators. Ryan, Tyro, report to the command center immediately. We need to assess the full extent of the changes. As they made their way through the new growth, Ryan marveled at the sensations flooding his altered body. He could feel the pulse of life around him, each plant a beacon of energy connected to the vast network of the heart of Gaia. Tyro's leaves rustled with a mixture of awe and concern. "The balance is delicate," Tyro communicated silently. "We must tread carefully in this new world we've created." At the command center, they found a flurry of activity. Dr. Elena Kovacs rushed to meet them, her eyes wide with scientific curiosity. "Fascinating," she murmured, running a scanner over Ryan's arm. "The cellular structure is unlike anything I've ever seen. A perfect fusion of human and Eliani biology." Commander Steele cleared his throat, drawing their attention. "While your transformation is certainly of great interest, we have more pressing matters to discuss." He gestured to a holographic display of the planet. "The terraforming process has stabilized faster than we anticipated. We're calling it New Gaia." Ambassador Sarah Chen stepped forward, her diplomatic poise unchanged despite the chaos of recent events. "This presents us with an unprecedented opportunity. The unique biosphere we've created here is naturally hostile to Vespidian biology. We have, in essence, created a safe haven for both our species." Elder Thorne, standing nearby, nodded slowly. "Indeed, though the changes to our world are unsettling, I cannot deny the potential benefits of our alliance." Over the next few weeks, the fledgling colony on New Gaia began to take shape. Human and Eliani worked side by side, combining their technologies and cultures in ways never before imagined. Dr. Marcus Reeves led a team in expanding the organic computing network, creating a planet-wide system for communication and resource management. "The processing power is off the charts," Reeves explained during a briefing. "We're able to monitor and predict ecosystem changes with incredible accuracy. It's like the planet itself is helping us understand it." Captain Darius Black, freshly promoted for his role in deploying the EMP device, took charge of a new joint defense force. In a training field just outside the main settlement, he watched as human soldiers and Eliani warriors engaged in combat exercises. "Again!" Black shouted as a human squad failed to anticipate an Eliani ambush. "You need to think beyond human limitations. Your Eliani allies can blend with the environment in ways you can't imagine. Anticipate it." As the colony grew, so did the ambitions of its leaders. Ambassador Chen, seeing the success of their alliance, began pushing for further expansion. In a secure communication with Earth's government, she made her case. "The Eliani's terraforming abilities, combined with our technology, could transform countless worlds," Chen argued. "We have the opportunity to solve Earth's overpopulation crisis and establish humanity as a major power in this sector." The response was mixed. While many nations supported the idea of large-scale colonization, others raised concerns about potential conflicts with other alien species. The debate raged on, with Chen working tirelessly to build consensus. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Axel Donovan found himself at the forefront of a new technological revolution. In a massive hangar, he stood before a sleek spacecraft unlike any seen before. "She's a beauty, isn't she?" Donovan said to Dr. Reeves, who had joined him to inspect the new vessel. "Eliani biotech merged with human engineering. She can adapt to almost any environment we encounter out there." Reeves nodded, his eyes gleaming with excitement. "These ships will be the key to our expansion plans. Imagine a fleet of these, each one a self-sustaining ecosystem capable of supporting long-term exploration missions." As New Gaia's first year drew to a close, the arrival of Dr. Viktor Reznov, a renowned xenoarchaeologist, sparked a new wave of excitement. In a vast dig site near the planet's equator, Reznov made a discovery that would change everything. "Look at this," he said, beckoning Ryan and Tyro closer to an ancient stone tablet. "These markings, they're star maps, and if I'm interpreting them correctly, they point to other worlds that may have once been part of a vast Eliani civilization." The implications were staggering. Not only did it suggest the existence of other Eliani colonies, but it raised the possibility of finding the species' original homeworld. The news spread quickly, igniting the imaginations of both humans and Eliani alike. However, as the colony expanded and plans for further exploration took shape, tensions began to simmer beneath the surface. In a council meeting, Elder Thorne voiced concerns that had been growing among the Eliani population. "We cannot lose sight of who we are," Thorne argued, his harmonic voice tinged with frustration. Our traditions, our connection to the natural world, these things are at risk of being overshadowed by human ambitions. The human members of the council shifted uncomfortably, aware of the delicate balance they were trying to maintain. Commander Steele leaned forward, his expression grave. Your concerns are valid, Elder Thorne. We must find a way to move forward that respects both our cultures. Perhaps. He was interrupted by an urgent message from Lieutenant Donovan. Commander, we're picking up an unidentified ship entering the system. Sir, it's not Vespidian. We're being hailed. The council chamber erupted into a flurry of activity as screens came to life, displaying an alien vessel of unfamiliar design. A face appeared, distinctly non-human, with iridescent scales and multifaceted eyes. Greetings, people of New Gaia, the alien said, its voice translated through the organic computing network. We are the Zephyrians, and we come seeking alliance. As the implications of this new contact sunk in, Ryan and Tyro exchanged a glance. Their hybrid nature had given them unique insight into the challenges of bringing different species together. Now, it seemed, their skills would be put to the ultimate test. The future of New Gaia, and perhaps the entire sector, hung in the balance. The decisions made in the coming days would shape the destiny of 3 species, and potentially many more. As the Council prepared to receive the Zephyrian envoy, the air thrummed with tension and possibility. In the depths of space, unbeknownst to the inhabitants of New Gaia, another drama was unfolding. On a distant, barren world, a lone Vespidian queen surveyed the ruins of her once mighty armada. Her multifaceted eyes gleamed with cold intelligence as she watched her drones adapt, evolve, and prepare. The defeat at New Gaia had been a setback, but not an end. As the Queen's new brood grew stronger, more resilient to the effects of terraforming, a single thought pulsed through the hive mind. Revenge. Mind. The Vespidian Queen's mandibles clicked with anticipation. Soon they would strike again, and this time they would not fail. Back on New Gaia, the arrival of the Zephyrians had set off a flurry of diplomatic activity. As the Council prepared to receive the alien envoy, a series of tremors shook the command center. Ryan and Tyro exchanged alarmed glances, their hybrid senses picking up on something the others couldn't yet perceive. Commander Steele, Ryan said urgently, we need to evacuate, now. Steele turned, his brow furrowed. What are you talking about? We're in the middle of a first contact situation. Tyro's leaves rustled anxiously. The planet is unstable. The terraforming process has triggered a cascade of seismic events. If we don't act quickly, many will die. As if to punctuate their warning, a violent quake rocked the building. Alarms blared as the organic computing network lit up with emergency signals from across the colony. All personnel, this is Commander Steele, he barked into the comm system. Initiate emergency evacuation protocol. Proceed to the underground shelters immediately. The next hours were a blur of chaos and coordination. Ryan and Tyro worked tirelessly, using their connection to the planet's ecosystem to predict the most dangerous areas and guide evacuation efforts. As colonists streamed into the vast underground complexes, the surface of New Gaia writhed in geological turmoil. From the safety of the command bunker, Dr. Elena Kovacs monitored Ryan and Tyro's vital signs with growing fascination. Their biology is changing again, she reported to Steele. It's as if they're adapting in real time to the planet's instability. Outside, Ryan and Tyro stood amidst a maelstrom of elemental fury. Lightning crackled across the sky as hurricane-force winds whipped debris through the air. Yet they remained calm, their bodies glowing with an otherworldly energy. We can feel it, Ryan said, his voice carrying harmonic undertones that seemed to resonate with the very ground beneath their feet. The pain of the planet, the imbalance we've caused. Tyro's tendrils stretched out, intertwining with the chaos of hybrid vegetation that surrounded them. We can help it heal, the Eleni added, but it will take time. For days, the pair worked in concert with New Gaia's turbulent ecosystem. They coaxed roots to anchor unstable hillsides, directed waterways to ease pressure on fault lines, and even influenced weather patterns to disperse the worst of the storms. Slowly, the planet began to stabilize. As the crisis abated and colonists emerged from the shelters, Ryan and Tyro found themselves the center of attention. Humans and Eliani alike regarded them with a mixture of awe and unease. Their actions had saved countless lives, but the extent of their transformation was now undeniable. In the aftermath of the disaster, the Zephyrian envoy finally made planetfall. Ambassador Zara, a striking figure with iridescent scales and multifaceted eyes, addressed the assembled leadership of the Human-Eliani Alliance. "We have observed your handling of this crisis with great interest," Zara said, her translated voice smooth and measured. "It is clear that your alliance possesses remarkable adaptive capabilities. We believe a partnership between our peoples could yield great benefits for all." Ambassador Sarah Chen leaned forward, her diplomatic instincts on high alert. "We appreciate your offer, Ambassador Zara. What exactly did you have in mind?" Zara's eyes glimmered. "We possess technology that could greatly enhance your colonization efforts. Faster than light drives, energy shields capable of withstanding the harshest environments, weaponry that could deter even the most aggressive species. In exchange, we seek access to the Eliani's terraforming capabilities." The room erupted in a cacophony of voices. Elder Thorn's harmonics rose above the din. "Our abilities are not a commodity to be traded. They are an integral part of our culture, our very being." Commander Steele raised a hand for silence. "This is not a decision to be made lightly. We will need time to consider your proposal, Ambassador Zara." As the diplomatic dance continued, Captain Darius Black received covert orders from Steele. Under the cover of routine patrols, Black's team embarked on a series of reconnaissance missions into Zephyrian space. What they discovered was troubling. Hidden observation posts, some centuries old, were found on the outskirts of both human and Eliani territories. The Zephyrians had been watching, waiting for far longer than they had let on. Meanwhile, Dr. Elena Kovacs made a breakthrough in her study of Ryan and Tyro's hybrid biology. In her lab, surrounded by holographic displays of cellular structures, she presented her findings to a select group. "I believe I've isolated the key genetic markers responsible for their unique abilities," Kovacs explained. "With further research, we might be able to replicate these traits in other individuals, creating more mediators between our species." The implications were staggering, but so were the risks. The procedure would fundamentally alter the subject's biology, with no guarantee of success or reversibility. As the Alliance grappled with these developments, a new threat emerged from the depths of space. Lieutenant Axel Donovan's hybrid fleet, on a routine patrol of the system's outer reaches, encountered a damaged Vespidian scout ship. The captured crew, once their universal translators were calibrated, provided chilling intelligence. The Vespidians had not been idle since their defeat. They had adapted, evolved, and were now poised to launch a massive counteroffensive against New Gaia. Back on the planet's surface, Dr. Viktor Reznov made a discovery that would reshape their understanding of Eliani history. In a newly uncovered archive, he found records of a catastrophic event that had forced the Eliani ancestors to abandon their original homeworld. It appears their terraforming abilities were developed out of necessity, Reznov explained to a rapt audience, a survival mechanism in the face of environmental collapse. This revelation sent shockwaves through the Eliani community, challenging long-held beliefs about their past and the nature of their abilities. As these various threads of crisis and discovery unfolded, tensions within the Alliance reached a breaking point. A group of human extremists, led by the charismatic Magnus Vex, attempted to seize control of the heart of Gaia. "Humanity must control this power," Vex shouted as his followers stormed the facility. "We cannot entrust our future to alien whims." Ryan and Tyro, alerted by their connection to the planet, rushed to intervene. Using their abilities to influence the surrounding vegetation, they created barriers and diversions, containing the attackers until security forces arrived. The incident was quelled, but the trust between humans and Eliani had been severely damaged. In the tense aftermath, Ambassador Sarah Chen saw an opportunity to address the underlying issues plaguing the Alliance. "We need a new framework for governance," Chen argued in a series of impassioned speeches. "A joint council with equal representation from both humans and Eliani to guide our future on New Gaia and beyond." As debates raged over Chen's proposal, Alliance long-range sensors detected a massive buildup of Vespidian forces at the edge of the sector. Intelligence reports confirmed their worst fears. The Vespidians had bioengineered themselves to resist the effects of terraforming. In the midst of this growing crisis, Dr. Marcus Reeves made a startling discovery. The Organic Computing Network detected an anomalous signal from a distant star system, bearing hallmarks of Eliani origin. As the Alliance leadership argued over how to respond to this potential game-changer, Ryan and Tyro made a decision. Weary of their role as intermediaries and seeking answers to their own evolving nature, they volunteered to lead an expedition to the source of the signal. "We have to go," Ryan said, his eyes reflecting the star map that hovered before them. "Whatever's out there, it might be the key to saving all of us." Tyro's leaves rustled in agreement. "Our journey has led us to this point. We must see it through." As preparations for their mission began, the future hung in the balance. The human-Eliani alliance faced threats from within and without, while a resurgent Vespidian force gathered in the dark spaces between the stars. The expedition to the mysterious signal represented a leap into the unknown, a daring plan for knowledge that could tip the scales in their favor. Ryan and Tyro stood on the bridge of their hybrid ship, the culmination of human and Eliani technology. As the engines hummed to life and New Gaia receded behind them, they knew that the fate of two civilizations. The hybrid ship's engines thrummed to life, a perfect fusion of human ingenuity and Eliani organic technology. Ryan and Tyro stood side by side on the bridge, their unique physiology resonating with the vessel's pulsing core. Behind them, Captain Darius Black surveyed the assembled team with a critical eye. "Final systems check," he ordered, his voice carrying the weight of countless missions. Dr. Elena Kovac's fingers danced across a console of shifting bioluminescent patterns. "All systems nominal, Captain. We're ready for departure." Lieutenant Axel Donovan gripped the ship's neural interface, his mind melding seamlessly with the craft's navigational systems. "Course plotted to the signal's origin, awaiting your command." With a nod from Black, the ship lifted off. New Gaia's verdant surface fell away beneath them, replaced by the star-studded expanse of space. As they accelerated beyond the planet's gravitational well, Ryan felt a momentary pang of uncertainty. "Are we doing the right thing?" he murmured, his voice barely audible over the ship's ambient hum. Tyro's leaves rustled softly. "We must seek answers, my friend, for ourselves and for all those we've left behind." The journey stretched on for days, the hybrid ship pushing the boundaries of known propulsion technology. During their voyage, the team pored over the scant data they had on the mysterious signal. Dr. Kovac spent hours in deep discussion with Ryan and Tyro, probing the limits of their hybrid abilities in preparation for whatever they might encounter. As they neared their destination, Lieutenant Donovan's voice cut through the ship's comm system. "Picking up significant debris ahead. Brace for evasive maneuvers." The view screen flared to life, revealing a massive field of twisted metal and shattered hull fragments, stretching as far as the eye could see. Donovan's hands moved with preternatural speed across the neural interface, guiding the ship through the treacherous maze of wreckage. "Some of these pieces," Dr. Kovac observed, her eyes wide with wonder, "they're clearly of Eliani origin, but others, I've never seen designs like this before." Captain Black frowned, his military training kicking in as he analyzed the debris field. "Whatever happened here, it was a battle on a scale we can scarcely imagine." As they penetrated deeper into the field, Ryan and Tyro felt a growing sense of unease. The hybrid ship's organic components seemed to resonate with the ancient wreckage, carrying whispers of long-forgotten conflicts. Finally, they emerged from the debris field, and a breathtaking sight greeted them. A small, vibrantly green moon hung suspended against the backdrop of a massive gas giant. The moon's surface pulsed with bioluminescent patterns, a riot of color that sent shivers of recognition through Ryan and Tyro's hybrid forms. "It's beautiful," Ryan breathed, feeling an inexplicable pull towards the celestial body. Tyro nodded, leaves quivering with excitement. "And familiar somehow, as if we're returning to a home we never knew we had." Lieutenant Donovan guided the ship into a smooth descent, following the signal to its source. As they breached the moon's atmosphere, the true scale of the alien landscape became apparent. Towering structures of interwoven plant matter and crystalline formations dotted the surface, dwarfing anything they had encountered on New Gaia. They touched down in a clearing near a massive overgrown structure that seemed to pulse with energy. As the team prepared to disembark, Captain Black laid out the plan. "Kovacs, you're with me. We'll take point. Ryan, Tyro, stay close. Your abilities might be our best bet at understanding this place. Donovan, guard the ship and be ready for a quick exit if things go south." As they stepped onto the moon's surface, the air thrummed with an otherworldly energy. Ryan and Tyro's hybrid bodies seemed to come alive, every cell resonating with the strange yet familiar environment. They approached the structure cautiously, marveling at its intricate design. Suddenly, the ground before them shifted. Writhing tendrils of plant matter erupted from the soil, quickly coalescing into humanoid forms. These bizarre constructs moved with fluid grace, their bodies a seamless blend of organic matter and what appeared to be highly advanced technology. "Hold your fire!" Ryan shouted as Captain Black raised his weapon. "I don't think they mean to harm us." Tyro stepped forward, extending a tendril towards the nearest construct. As they touched, a flood of information passed between them. Tyro's leaves rustled with excitement. "They're guardians," Tyro explained. "Non-lethal security measures designed to protect this place. They recognize us as kindred." With Tyro acting as a translator, the team was granted passage into the structure. As they ventured deeper, they encountered a vast underground complex filled with technology that left even Dr. Kovacs speechless. At the heart of the facility, they found a chamber lined with sleek, organic-looking pods. Each pod housed a sleeping figure, their features unmistakably Eliani, yet subtly different from those Ryan and Tyro had known. Dr. Kovacs approached one of the pods, her scientific curiosity overriding her caution. "These are stasis chambers," she announced after a moment of examination. "Incredibly advanced. They've kept these individuals in perfect suspension for thousands of years at least." Ryan and Tyro exchanged a glance, their hybrid senses picking up on something the others couldn't perceive. Together, they approached a central console, its surface alive with shifting patterns of light. As their hands touched the console, they felt a surge of connection. The facility seemed to recognize them, responding to their hybrid nature in ways they couldn't fully comprehend. Suddenly, the stasis pods began to hum with increasing energy. "What did you do?" Captain Black demanded, his hand instinctively moving to his weapon. Before Ryan or Tyro could respond, the pods began to open. Mist spilled out onto the floor as the ancient Eliani within stirred to life. The team watched in awe as these beings, lost to time, began to awaken. One figure in particular caught their attention. She rose from her pod with regal grace, her bioluminescent patterns pulsing with an authority that commanded respect. As her eyes focused on Ryan and Tyro, a look of recognition and wonder crossed her face. "After all this time," she spoke, her voice carrying harmonic undertones that resonated through the chamber, "our children have returned to us." Ryan stepped forward, drawn by an instinct he couldn't explain. "Who are you?" The Eleni's eyes sparkled with ancient wisdom. "I am High Queen Lumina, last ruler of the Eleni homeworld, and you, my dear hybrid children, are the key to our salvation." As the rest of the ancient Eleni began to stir, Ryan and Tyro realized that their mission had become far more complex than they could have ever imagined. The answers they sought were within reach, but with them came new questions that would shake the very foundations of their alliance. Captain Black's communicator crackled to life, Lieutenant Donovan's voice tight with urgency. "Captain, long-range sensors are picking up a massive fleet entering the system. It's the Vespidians. They'll reach New Gaia in a matter of days." The weight of their discovery and the impending threat settled over the team. They had found a piece of the puzzle, but time was running out. As High Queen Lumina gazed upon them with eyes that held the secrets of ages, Ryan and Tyro knew that their next decisions would shape the destiny of not just two species, but three. Three civilizations hung in the balance. As the hybrid ship surged into hyperspace, leaving behind the familiar contours of New Gaia, Ryan and Tyro exchanged a look of determination. Their journey had only just begun. Days stretched into an indeterminate blur as they hurtled through the void. The ship's organic components hummed in harmony with their hybrid physiology, creating a cocoon of comfort amidst the uncertainty of their mission. Dr. Elena Kovacs spent countless hours in the lab, poring over the data they had gathered from the ancient Ileani facility. "The implications of this technology are staggering," she muttered, eyes wide with excitement as she examined a holographic representation of the stasis pods. "If we can replicate even a fraction of this—" Her words were cut short as the ship shuddered, dropping out of hyperspace with a lurch that sent everyone scrambling for purchase. The view screen flared to life, revealing a sight that took their breath away. New Gaia, a verdant jewel suspended in the inky blackness of space, surrounded by the assembled might of the human Aleni defense fleet. "Multiple hails incoming," Lieutenant Donovan announced, his fingers dancing across the neural interface. "It's Commander Steele. He's requesting immediate docking with the command station." Captain Black nodded grimly. "Take us in, Lieutenant. I have a feeling we're about to jump from the frying pan into the fire." As they maneuvered towards the massive space station, Ryan felt a tremor of anticipation run through his hybrid form. The answers they had found on that distant moon now seemed like pieces of a much larger puzzle, one whose final image was still frustratingly out of reach. The docking procedure had barely completed when alarms began to blare throughout the station. Red warning lights bathed the corridors in an ominous glow, as Ryan, Tyro, and the rest of the team were escorted at a brisk pace to the central command hub. They burst into a room of controlled chaos. Commander Marcus Steele stood at the center, his face a mask of unyielding commitment as he barked orders to a sea of frantic officers. Ambassador Sarah Chen paced nearby, her usual composure cracking under the weight of the moment. "The Vespidians," Steele growled as he turned to face them. "They've arrived at the system's edge, earlier than we anticipated." Before anyone could react to this dire news, all eyes in the room turned to the new arrivals. High Queen Lumina glided forward, her ancient eyes taking in the scene with a calm that belied the gravity of the situation. "I see that time has not dulled the Vespidians' appetite for conquest," she mused, her harmonic voice cutting through the tension like a knife. "Perhaps now you will believe the truth of our history." Ambassador Chen stepped forward, her diplomatic training reasserting itself. "Your Highness, I apologize for the abruptness, but we find ourselves in need of your wisdom. Our defenses are strong, but against such overwhelming numbers—" Lumina raised a hand, silencing the room. "What you need, Ambassador, is not merely wisdom, but understanding. The key to ending this conflict lies not in strength of arms, but in the power of connection." Her gaze fell on Ryan and Tyro. "A power that our hybrid children have shown us is possible." As if on cue, Dr. Marcus Reeves burst into the room, his lab coat askew and eyes wild with inspiration. "Commander, Ambassador, I think I've found a way. If we can integrate the ancient Eliani technology with our organic computing network, we might be able to create a psionic amplifier powerful enough to reach the Vespidian collective consciousness." The room erupted in a flurry of activity as the implications of this plan sank in. Commander Steele began issuing rapid-fire orders, redirecting resources and personnel to support this last-ditch effort. Ambassador Chen huddled with her aides, drafting contingency plans and preparing for every possible outcome. In the midst of the organized chaos, Ryan felt a gentle touch on his arm. He turned to find Dr. Kovacs looking up at him, her eyes brimming with a mix of worry and something deeper, unspoken. "Ryan, I need you to know something," she began, her voice barely audible above the din. "What you and Tyro are about to attempt, it's incredibly dangerous. The strain on your hybrid physiology could be—" Ryan placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder, feeling the tension in her muscles. "Elena, we understand the risks, but this is bigger than just us now. It's about the future of 3 entire species." Kovacs nodded, blinking back tears. "I know, be careful out there, okay? Both of you." Her gaze flickered to Tyro, who stood nearby, leaves rustling with nervous energy. As the preparations reached a fever pitch, Lieutenant Axel Donovan approached, his flight suit already sealed and ready for action. "I'm leading a squadron to run interference," he explained, his voice tight with pre-mission adrenaline. "We'll do our best to keep those bastards off balance until you can work your magic." Ryan clasped Donovan's arm in a warrior's grip. "Fly safe out there, Axel. We'll do our part if you do yours." With a final nod, Donovan turned and jogged towards the hangar bay, where his hybrid ships and their pilots waited to dance with death among the stars. Time seemed to compress as the plan came together with astonishing speed. The ancient Ileani technology meshed with new Gaia's systems in ways that defied conventional understanding, guided by the intuitive knowledge of High Queen Lumina and the brilliance of Dr. Reeves. Before they knew it, Ryan and Tyro found themselves standing at the heart of a massive psionic amplifier, constructed atop the sacred heart of Gaia chamber. The air crackled with potential energy, making their hybrid forms tingle with anticipation. Dr. Kovacs made a final adjustment to the neural interface, her hands steady despite the weight of the moment. She looked up at Ryan, their eyes meeting in a silent exchange that spoke volumes. With a deep breath, she stepped back, allowing them their final moment of preparation. Ryan turned to Tyro, reaching out to intertwine their hands. In that touch, he felt the entirety of their shared journey, from that first moment in the alien jungle to the precipice of this galaxy-altering event. "Ready?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Tyro's leaves rustled softly, her bioluminescent patterns pulsing with purpose. "Together," she replied, the single word carrying the weight of their bond. As one, they stepped onto the central platform. The chamber hummed to life around them, energy building in waves that set their every cell vibrating in harmony. Ryan closed his eyes, feeling his consciousness expand outward, merging with Tyro's in a dance of human intellect and Ileani intuition. Their shared mind touched the edges of the Vespidian collective, a vast alien intelligence that roiled with hostility and confusion. For a moment, Ryan felt overwhelmed by the sheer alienness of the contact, but Tyro's presence steadied him, their hybrid nature allowing them to bridge the gap between disparate forms of thought and being. With a surge of will, they pushed deeper into the collective consciousness, bringing with them the truth of the Vespidians' origins and the tragic history that had led to this moment of conflict. They shared memories of pain and loss, but also of growth and hope, the story of two civilizations learning to coexist and thrive together. As their message spread through the Vespidian fleet, the battle raging in space began to stutter and slow. Ship after ship ceased fire, their crews grappling with revelations that shook the very foundations of their society. In the command hub, Ambassador Chen watched with suspenseful pause as the Vespidian formations broke apart, their once coordinated assault dissolving into confusion. A tense moment passed, stretching into what felt like an eternity. Then at last, a new signal cut through the chaos, a direct communication from the Vespidian queen herself. As Chen scrambled to open a channel, the fate of three civilizations hung in the balance, poised on the knife edge between war and a...
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.